Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. Don't forget, you can always check us out on our website, KIDOTalkRadio.com. Great newsletter, great app. And by the way, that app is, we don't spam you. You can take it anywhere on your digital dashboard, on your phone. Always be up to date about what goes on here during the Kevin Miller Show or throughout the day, Sean Hannity afternoons as well. Joining us now, the Institution. That's right. We'll just start calling him the Institution. Dave Pezzo joining us, the Pezzo Center, Pezzo Financial, on Facebook, on Twitter, podcasts, Money Matters, Saturdays, 8 to 10 right here on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Kevin.
So you take a look economically at the impact the president's exoneration has. Of course, the libs aren't saying that. Your thoughts? Will this impact the markets throughout the week, do you think?
I don't think so, Kevin, because I think it's been expected, right? I think there is a certain relief that there isn't something there. But I would put it this way. If it had come out differently, then I think the markets would tank. I think that would be the concern, is that there was going to be ongoing investigations. The fact that they leaked for the last several months, that there's really no there. In other words, they were trying to get out in front of the fact that this was a witch hunt, and they did, in fact, finally put that out. But I still think it's another thing that's gone. It's another worry that's out of the way as we chip away to this constant, new worries come up, and then we chip them away, and new worries come up. But this is one that's been there for a long time. Good to see it go, Kevin. I don't expect Wall Street to have a big rally about it, though.
On the other hand, though, you still have the Democrats saying the president wasn't exonerated. He's a bad president. They're going to get him. They're just not done. It's almost like when you put water on an electrical fire, it just makes it worse.
I don't know what they're thinking, Kevin, and maybe it's me. I can't believe that there aren't people out there that are going to be saying, what is going on with these people? I cannot associate myself with a bunch of nut jobs that just won't quit. And it doesn't take a lot. As we all know, elections spin around those people in the middle, right, that will swing left or right or with one, contender or another. They don't always vote straight Republican or straight Democrat. And I can't believe that those people are happy about the fact that you can take any citizen in the United States and destroy them, and that we really don't have rule of law, that the FBI, Justice Department can just keep going after people, and the Congress in particular won't take no for an answer. It's not that, they've gone through millions at, $30 million or something like that? $25 million that they spent. And we already know that it was stacked against Trump, so it's not exactly his Justice Department. Mueller and all of those folks are far left-wing people, and they couldn't come up with something. That's not enough for the Dems, and I can't believe that there really are people out there that think, wow, I'm just so proud. This is my party, man. I'm so proud of them that they do not operate by rule of law. Let's put them in power, and let's see if they can't control this country and drive us towards a dictatorship.
Dave Pezzo joining us, Kevin Miller in the morning. What does it, though, say that here you have a president that has done wonders with the economy, but it's not enough, that we have people continuing to go after him? It does undermine his authority. Doesn't it undermine the process?
It does undermine it undermines the process. It undermines his authority, and we elected him. I didn't see this happening when Obama was in and trying to turn us into a socialist nation. He did a pretty good job of doing that. Nearly destroyed the United States, as we all well know and is well documented. But the reality is nobody's out there trying to figure out illegal acts. This is bizarre, and it's over the top, and it does undermine the presidency. And I think it's just a really sad day that they just won't shut up and go away. And I don't believe, maybe it's me being an optimist, Kevin, but I can't believe that this is a good strategy for the Democrats.
Dave Pezzo joining us. He'll answer your questions on money. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Are the good times rolling still? I mean, a little bumpy last week in the stock market. You're going to go, oh, no, negative Nelly, Kevin Miller. But
no, it was bumpy.
And then you have people saying the Great Recession indicator has hit, and sooner or later it's going to be bad. I'm not rooting for that. I'd like to be right occasionally, but I'm not rooting for a recession, certainly.
Okay. Well, like a stopwatch, I swear, we will have a recession again someday, Kevin, and then you can be right. You can dance on my grave, buddy. But the thing is right now the economy is okay, but it's not great. There are indications of global growth slowing down, not in the United States, but outside the United States, things are slowing. Now, when you have that impacts the big multinational corporations that we have in the United States. So there is a big impact in the U.S. We export a lot as well as import. People obviously are aware of the trade wars going on, but we also export a lot around the world. And when that is slowing down, we don't export as much. So therefore, it does have a little bit of an impact. But that's all. Right now, corporate profits are still good. And all you ever read about financially, just remember, whenever you pick something up, it's all bad all the time. And there's a number of good reasons why. Number one, we don't read good news. We just won't. We just ignore it. It's like, yeah, the market did okay. All right, well, what else? We want bad news, number one. Number two, bad news sells. It sells gold. It sells silver. It sells equity indexed annuities. Fear sells product to people. So it is in the best interest of all the advertisers and all to put people on to scare people. So we do wind up in a world of very, very negative financial reporting. And all numbers are never going to be going one direction. So we have mixed numbers right now. That's all I'm going to say as far as those numbers go. It's not all positive indicators, but it certainly is not all negative, and it doesn't look like a recession.
Dave Petzo joining us. Of course, Apple making their big announcement concerning getting into the streaming service. You know, we were talking about this earlier. Are we jumping the shark with too much streaming? Netflix, Marvel, Paramount, Hulu. I'm probably leaving out like 7 others.
Agreed. Yeah, YouTube, right?
YouTube, ESPN.
That's the big one now. I don't think so, Kevin. Yes and no. It's just that the alternatives are there. But think how great that is for the consumer, right? But what we're seeing right now is a revolution, if you will, radio to TV. Now TV to you making the choices, not just of what channel you watch, but what channels you have available to watch. So you're going to be dialing it in to Kevin TV, which won't look like Dave TV. It's going to be a different one, and you're going to pay for only what you use. I think this is a marvelous thing, and it's just really getting going, and that's why you're seeing so many operators. In the end, Kevin, there won't be this many operators because they will be filtered out by competition. They all can't make it, and we're already seeing the cable companies beginning to die.
Right. When we take a look at the cable companies, obviously one of the biggest is DirecTV. They've got a lot of people that work here in the call centers and such. AT&T coming in and making some changes to how you get your DirecTV, that sort of thing. But a company like DirecTV or Time Warner or any of these companies that rely on you subsidizing the Flower Channel, subsidizing CNN, if you had to pick, I don't think a lot of people would be tuned into CNN. CNN gets $1 for every subscriber they have. Fox News is a little higher. ESPN is the highest, but how many people really buy their cable or buy their satellites for one particular channel?
I do. If ESPN wasn't on, I'd be a rabbit ear guy.
Right, but you could buy ESPN by itself then. Now
you can. In the old days, you couldn't, and so a lot of people. But anyway, you're right, Kevin, and I think that's just that those days are gone. Where you're right, and so, now I'm told by, if you will, people in the industry, experts, that they can now are going to go back and rebundle stuff like the Flower Channel or whatever, Home and Garden, all those things will be one bundle. You'll pay 50 cents a month for or something, and then you can pick and choose. Outdoorsman, I always laugh about all the fishing shows that are out there. Well, if that's what you like, then you might be paying for a group of that, including hunting, fishing, etc. Something that matches your taste may still be available. Where my concern is that we won't have experimental TV, meaning you're only going to dial in what's immediately profitable, and we won't have people discovering there's a neat station over here. But by this kind of bundling, I'm hopeful we'll get creativity as well.
Right. It's amazing how our channels are. So back to Apple.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a big announcement. This is kind of big.
Right. But I mean, they're buying all these Hollywood studios and such. But what's Apple going to have that Netflix doesn't have? And Netflix, by the way, Business Wars, great podcast, where we have IBM versus Univac, versus all these other computer things, but Netflix versus Blockbuster. What makes Netflix so unique is they came up with this algorithm that when you would, let's say, watch some type of show, they would get a recycled show, let's say Burn Notice, right? You would watch Burn Notice reruns, and all of a sudden the algorithm would pick up something that you like about that show. And as you see on Netflix, they pick other shows that you may like.
Yeah, right.
Like original series and such. So until somebody comes up with an algorithm, I think, that rivals that, and maybe Apple can, you know, how successful is anybody going to be against Netflix?
Well, Amazon is, but you're right. But I think that Netflix has a huge and global advantage at this point in time. There's so much money in it that it's totally fine for several people to be involved in it. And let's face it, Apple, we trust, right?
Well,
have you noticed the commercials lately? What's that?
Netflix just raised its prices.
They did. Yeah. And I think they can raise it again, and everybody will pay for it, wouldn't they?
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I mean, $12.99, yeah, it's okay, but I mean, if you're bundling that with cable, this, that, and the other, and you can't write that stuff off, or it's limited how much you can write off.
Yep.
I mean, I back to you.
Nope. Think of it this way: if you are dialing back your cable because you can, and now have a basic cable, and then along with that your movie channels, your premium station,
sure,
that's Netflix. That's a lot less than it used to be for the whole package, right? If you're talking about the whole package and you're layering things on, then that's an entertainment choice, I suppose, you're making. But at any rate, we are going to see a lot of choices, Kevin, that we're all going to be able to make, and that, to me, is very, very exciting. For the consumer, it's going to be a deadly game for many, many companies. Many billions will be spent and lost in this pursuit.
Your billions?
I will not be investing billions in that. I guess if you want to count my small investment in Netflix, okay, and Apple.
More coming up with Dave Petso, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Continuing on with our great friend Dave Petso, Kevin Miller in the morning, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. So Dave Petso, big feature in the Meridian Press this week concerning Sensi, a $450 million company. They go back and saying in 2004, they just had these containers, and the founders of Sensi have stuck with it. They employ, I think they're the third or fourth largest employer in Meridian. Big success story. And you go anywhere across the country, and they'll go, wow, you know where Sensi is? You know where their headquarters is? It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's a beautiful building and a big part of the community. There's no question about it. It's a huge success story.
You take a look at what it takes to have that type of success, that drive, that determination, you know, the brink of losing it all and then you gain it all. I mean, you hear that all the time.
You do, and there's no question there's certain twists and turns of luck, if you will, in any industry, any business that makes it, where something comes along just at the right time. But without that determination and just that raw perseverance that no matter what, we're not quitting, businesses don't exist. You see it time and time again. I do not understand in our country, and the narrative right now is very frustrating for me, and quite frankly, it's frightening for my grandchildren and great-grandkids, any generation to come, is the idea that business is bad and innovation and creation is somehow going to be helped or enhanced by a bigger and bigger government, when it all of history says it won't. When we get more government involved in things, it ruins things. And I don't just mean it makes it inefficient. It takes our freedom away. And freedom, in my mind, is the seed of all of our creativity, is just that I'm free to think and let my mind go where it wants and pursue whatever is just burning in my belly. I've got to go do this thing. Or I just want to be successful. Whatever it is, it drives people to work 60 or 70 hours a week through the hard times, to get an education, to go to night school, do whatever it is. These are the innovators and creators of the next generation of great stuff that we all enjoy, and they're the great employers as well. This is what we need to really focus on when we're talking about capitalism and why socialism and bigger government is really deadly to our way of life.
Speaking of something that could be deadly to our way of life, the legislature continues to debate Medicaid expansion. Some have said, like Kevin Miller, there needs to be a cap on the spending because we started with 60,000. Now, proponents of the Medicaid expansion say it should be 120,000. You've got the feds currently funding 90%, the state responsible for 10%, but that's not guaranteed as well. Now people saying there should be a work requirement. What's the business impact on this?
Well, Kevin, right now the business impact is great because you're starting at the early stages of it, which says the federal government pays 90% of the bill, which means it's less of a burden on business. And in the long run, whenever you get in bed with the government, you are going to die. And so that's why I think you're onto it by saying if we have got to find a cap here of what we're going to spend, because before long the costs of this program are going to be out of control, because that's what government does best. It is to talk about a program, to undersell it, and then overpromise and underdeliver, and that will require much more money. Oops, we need more money. The program isn't working, so we need more money. Instead of fixing anything, government always just needs more money. And so I agree with you. I think that's not really a good solution, is to say we need to limit this to a certain dollar amount so we aren't just continuing to feed this pig. Indeed.
Of course, you have the best intentions. And what about the idea of the work requirements? What do you make of that?
About the work? I love it. Kevin, you've heard me say it many times. I'll say it again. No work, no worth. I mean, that's just human beings. We do not have a worth when we do not work, and it's just the wrong way to look at things. Is it? Oh well, if we give people money, that's kindness. That is not kindness. That's enslavement, and it does not allow for human beings to prosper. It really does not. It's like not having any boundaries on your children. There are certain things that you have to have, and we have to do as human beings. We have to eat right. We have to exercise, move. These are all functions of being healthy, and we all understand that. But I don't understand why we ever have arguments about work. Work is the same thing. You and I have to have a reason to get up in the morning, and if we don't, this is not good for our psyche. It's not good for us. We disintegrate as human beings.
Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Dave Petzo joining us on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. So back to anything we should be looking out for this week locally.
No, not really, Kevin. Micron announced their earnings last week, and they were better than expected. You don't want to say they were blockbuster, but they were blockbuster compared to expectations. So, again, Micron doing well in a world where people continue to guess that there's just too many chips out there, microchips, of course, but at the same time, they're just doing very well. And so local news-wise, that's about it, Kevin, because we're still seeing home sales do well, and with interest rates coming down again, I would suspect this spring selling season is going to be hot again here in Boise.
Take a looking at 24/7 Wall Street, just released its findings. Boise ranked 20 out of the top 25, one of the fastest-growing cities in the country. Of course, this is one of the things we always harp on. The infrastructure just can't keep up with it. People driving in right now will tell you it's a mess. Coming home after 3:30, 4:30 at night, it is a mess. It is infringing on the quality of life, and yet nobody seems to be doing anything about it.
No, well, they're building as fast as they can is what they'll tell you. But
building buildings, not building roads.
I know, we do. We really do need more attention to the roads, and we've got to get on it. And again, when we make priorities like you and I've talked many times, out of Americana and a bike lane, instead of when we could have spent it took 3 months to do that, and millions of dollars, we could have been doing something that really matters, expanding Shinden. You might say, oh, that's a state highway, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's 10 different projects you and I can come up with in 10 seconds that are really critically needed to expand roadways, especially out in the hinterlands where you live.
Speaking of which, City of Nampa last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, did increase impact fees for developers.
Yep.
The developing community is not happy about it. They'll say they're just going to pass it on. Is that a good first step? Meridian rumored to be doing that as well.
Yeah, Kevin, we have to. There's no question. The impact fee is the way we tax to build more roads and sewers and things like that are needed as more people move here. And it seems to be the most widely accepted. I can't think of a better way to do it. You've got to come up with the money somehow. And if people are moving here and causing all of us to expand the sewer plant, I think the new people should pay for it. Not exclusively, because economic development is good for everyone. But at the same time, they need to pay the bulk of it, and that's what impact fees do.
And finally, the legislature continues its debate concerning urban renewal, whether or not citizens should have the right to vote on urban renewal projects like a new library, a new stadium in the city of Boise or anywhere else. You have the mayor very upset about that. You have legislators that are within the Boise area saying this is anti-Boise. This bill was put together to pass the House by House Majority Leader Mike Moyle of Star. Your thoughts?
Kevin, I think that this bill never would have existed if the mayor, city council had not overstepped. And overstepping by, we're going to put in a bike lane down Main Street no matter what. We're going to do a trolley no matter what. We're going to do a stadium no matter what. And people are fed up with this overreach. And so now we want to put it into a law. But I am concerned about it. We have a representative government. We shouldn't be voting on everything, every little decision. And where does this lead us down the road? We have representatives. We vote for them to make decisions. And we don't like all their decisions, and that's just tough. That's the way politics, that's the way government works. I am concerned, but I do understand why, because this was such an overreach of we're just going to do this thing, and these things, and so the citizens are pushing back. I'm not sure how to write the bill, but I think when it's a major decision, it's going to impact me for years, impact my quality of life perhaps, but most certainly my pocketbook. I think that we should have a say as individual citizens.
Sound like you're running for office.
I do. It just seems logical to me.
Kind of gave both sides of the story there.
Oh, well, that's fair, but I do understand. But again, I'm not convinced that we should be voting on many things. I do think when it affects major decisions in our life, we should have a say. I'm not sure exactly how to write that and draw the line there. I don't want any little decision made by some silly votes.
Dave Petzo, the Petzo Center. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as always. Catch him this Saturday, 8 to 10 on Money Matters. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
It's a shame that our country had to go through this. To be honest, it's a shame that your president has had to go through this before I even got elected. It began. And it began illegally. And hopefully somebody's going to look at the other side. This was an illegal takedown that failed. And hopefully somebody's going to be looking at the other side.
There you have it, President Trump talking about the Mueller reports and the summary sent to Congress. More coming up on that in a minute. We go live to Twin Falls. Our great friend, Police Chief Craig Kingsbury, joins us. You remember the chief from his days in Napa. We sure do miss you, Chief. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Kevin. Thank you very much. I miss you guys, too.
Well, what's going on in Twin Falls? You staying out of trouble? Doing a lot of good things there, I imagine?
Well, we're trying to do some good things. The city's growing a little bit, and things are moving along pretty nicely.
Indeed. Before we get into what we wanted to have you on with, just the proposed hemp bill, could you give us a little your thoughts on the escalating challenges of law enforcement, not only in Twin Falls, but in the Treasure Valley with so many folks moving in? You have an extensive background here. We're always supporting law enforcement, sir. We always want to make sure people are aware of the dangers and challenges of daily law enforcement life.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. Yes, as our state continues to grow, and especially there in the Treasure Valley and even here in the Magic Valley, sometimes the biggest resource that we need is people. And as you know, you can't go out and hire more employees for a city until the tax base catches up. So we always seem to be trying to play catch up in local government to make sure we have the right amount of resources, not only in law enforcement and public safety, but also in other things such as parks.
Those are so important. So, Chief Kingsbury, your thoughts on the hemp bill? They've tarred and feathered me as anti-hemp here, but that's my own thoughts. Law enforcement, prosecutors, and others have come together to say, look, we want to take care of the farmers. We want to make sure they're good, but we want to make sure that they're partnered with law enforcement. What's the danger right now of folks not listening to law enforcement when it comes to this hemp legalization?
Well, Kevin, I think that's one of the biggest things that in law enforcement we're a little disappointed about. We were not brought to the table for these discussions. And by we, I'm referring to the Idaho Chiefs of Police Association, the Idaho Prosecuting Attorneys Association, the Idaho Sheriff's Association, nor the Fraternal Order of Police. So the sponsors of the current bill, House Bill 122, didn't really have much conversation with any of us as they drafted that bill. And we definitely want to take care of the farmers, and we definitely understand with the new federal regulation changes that we are going to see hemp being transported through our state and probably even grown in our state. We just want to make sure that we have a little bit of some input in how that is regulated. One of the biggest concerns right now, as you know, looking at that bill, hemp by law cannot contain any more than 0.3% of THC. And THC is the, if you will, the part of marijuana that would cause one to get high, become under the influence. Currently, we do not have the ability in Idaho as peace officers to conduct any roadside testing to differentiate between hemp, if you will, or marijuana. Now, it is true that the state police did receive some funding to put testing machines in the 3 state police crime labs throughout the state of Idaho, but that will not help the roadside officer to make that determination. So that's one of our biggest concerns right now is what's going to happen to that officer out on the highways and freeways of our state when we come across this, and quite frankly, will people be trafficking in illegal marijuana trying to use hemp as a disguise? So we do have some concerns. We're really hoping there is another bill that has some amendments that I think will give us a better plan of action. And, I know today there's a hearing on House Bill 122 in front of the Senate State Affairs Committee. Chairwoman Patty Ann Lodge will be running that hearing, and we've had an opportunity to speak with her about our concerns and about the fact that we feel that we can do this if we're able to put some sideboards on and amend the bill with just a few small changes.
Well, that's the concern. Since the time is running out and the Ag wants this bill, can you amend the bill, send it back to the House, get it passed by both the Senate and the House so it passes law enforcement muster before the end of the session?
Yeah, that we certainly understand that. And part of that gets back to what I said at the beginning, Kevin. Had we been involved in these conversations maybe earlier in the session, we could have helped to reach this compromise. And as you know, Kevin, sometimes legislation is about compromise. And again, we were a little disappointed that we were left out on this, but we hope that we can get these amendments in and we can get a bill that we can all live with, and it'll benefit the entire state of Idaho.
Chief Kingsbury, do you think that it should be shelved if these amendments don't happen?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Well, that'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. When we talk about marijuana legalization, and that is different from hemp, your thoughts on how we can prevent this? We have all these states, New Jersey voting on it today. There is a referendum that people are trying to get together for medical marijuana. As someone who has fought this in Nampa and now in Twin Falls on the front lines, why no to marijuana legalization, sir?
I don't think we have to look any farther than Washington State or Colorado. If you go to Denver and look at the homelessness and the crime in that area, and same in Seattle, if you go and look at what's happening in those areas, we don't want that to happen in Twin Falls or in Boise or in Coeur d'Alene. You know, Idaho has long been a state of such great beauty and great people, and I would hope that we don't legalize marijuana. I think it just really opens the door to lots of problems that we are not prepared for.
Chief Kingsbury, anything else you'd like to share with us today, sir? We sure appreciate you joining us.
Kevin, I appreciate you having me on. We need to do this more often. It's not even long distance anymore to call, so we should talk more often. No, the law enforcement in Idaho, we're in a great place. We have a wonderful state, great citizens all throughout the state, so I'm just happy to serve. And again, if you have any other issues or questions, give me a holler.
Well, we'd love to do that. Eventually, we need to do the show from Twin Falls someday, sir.
I remember years ago when you came to Nampa PD, we did a you did a little Back to Blue in the police department, and it'd be nice to do one here.
Yes, sir. I'll get on that.
Okay, Kevin.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Take care, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our great friend, Twin Falls Police Chief Craig Kingsbury, you remember from his time in Nampa serving our community, talking about the hemp bill, and the hemp bill should go down if law enforcement is not consulted. We'll see how that plays out, and we'll take your calls on that. But back to the point, the number one story at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, the Mueller report, the president is innocent. Pro-life, thanks for your patience. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Yeah, President Trump has been innocent all along, and he's the only one of all of the Republican candidates that would really go after the media. And the media are the people that are responsible for this, along with the Democrats. But the media has pushed this all along. And the American people need to wake up and know that their media is crooked and lying. And we're one world socialist kind of media. And they need to go down or get reformed. And so that's the real problem right there. And now, Mr. Kingsbury.
Chief Kingsbury, to you.
Yeah, Chief Kingsbury. He's not being totally honest. He's going along with they didn't have to be consulted. They were supposed to be there in the beginning and be with it, and they didn't do it. Now they got their act together, so maybe it's going to come out together. But they got to get off that if they weren't consulted, because that is a lie. And I'll get real mad about it, because you don't have to. They should have been there right away. Well, anyway, that's about all I got. But our media is just totally out of it, and nobody should take any. I mean, it'd be nice if we had some kind of networks, national networks, to plug into besides Fox News, CBS, NBC, ABC, all of that. It'd be nice if we had some kind of maybe Glenn Beck's network and Mark Levin's can grow up to take over that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Fair enough, pro-life. God bless.
Hey, same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye. We go to Doug in Mountain Home with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin. I want my money back. I want the 25 or 30 million that they've spent that was tax dollars to them freaking crooked suckers, and I want it back. You hearing me, Republican, Simpson, Crapo? Kevin, the way I look at it, the reason why we didn't hear the Republicans squawk, and say much of anything, Sessions done it all right there. Them guys are dirty. I mean, they're as dirty. I'm not saying all of them are, but they're as dirty as them Democrats are. I mean, he said a mouthful, our president did when he was running. I'm going to drain the swamp, and that's what he's been doing. He's exposed them. America, wake up. These people are dirty, crooked thieves, period. God's been exposing them with Mr. Trump. That's why he's the best we've had, Kevin. I mean, he's over there standing up for Israel, God's people, chosen people. He's just, as far as I'm concerned, he's the best we've ever had, period. But I want my money back. I want somebody accountable for this, and I mean behind bars looking out. That's all I've got to say. God bless you in your program.
God bless you. All right, Doug. Let's go to Jason in Boise with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jason.
Morning. I'm here to contribute to the cannabis issue. I've called previously. It's great that Idaho is such a preservational state, but it's not a matter of avoiding the topic of legalization on any scale. It's a matter of adaptability. It's going to happen regardless. It may be the last state to legalize marijuana, but it's going to happen, man. I mean, everyone's moving here. Nothing's going to stop it. So you guys should just brace and prepare yourselves to accommodate situations that are going to impact the state. how funds would be allocated. There's a tremendous amount of money in cannabis, and it seems like it's just kind of stuck in a 1980s, Reaganistic, anti-drug campaigns.
We're actually trying to bring that back, Jason. Just say no to drugs. And let's face it, look at what happened to Denver. Look what happens to every town, every state that embraces marijuana. Bad things happen.
Not necessarily. I was in Washington for quite a while. The funds were allocated properly. They went straight to infrastructure. They went straight to education. They went straight to getting people off real drugs like methamphetamines and opiates and all these real poisons that are plaguing our communities. It's just kind of upsetting that you guys aren't willing to address the fact that, maybe you should get ready.
It's also illegal federally.
And that's fine. And it's too bad that people are so scared that they won't stand up. And, it's just not.
Well, we're gonna find out who's right, Jason. You or us?
That's fine. And you know what, man? It's this totalitarianism that is holding back Idaho from being
we're one of the fastest growing states in the country. How are we holding people back?
And you know what, man? And when it hits, it's going to hit you guys like a ton of bricks. You're just going to be running around like a bunch of like outdated, backwoods people trying to deal with big city folk.
Jason, thank you for the call. He's a funny one, isn't he? Your call's next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning. Liberty Linda, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. I went to a movie last night about this guy that was trying to take down our president, and in the process spent $25 million of the people's money. It was an unbelievable movie. Now, we know that nothing like that could actually happen in our country, or oops, could it?
Good point.
Hasn't it been a bad movie? I think that this movie should have been rated fiction. However, it came out in the beginning truth. So that's what I think about the Mueller's report.
Well, Mueller's got to go.
Yeah. It's been a bad movie we've been watching here for a couple of years. And I'm glad it's over with, and there's nothing to it. It came out as, it's a fiction. That's what I think. Anyway, thanks a lot, and keep up for the hemp thing. If that goes through, we're going to see most of our teenagers in Idaho smoking marijuana. There won't be a difference in it, unfortunately, for the farmers. So I say keep up with the good work that you're putting out there, Kevin.
Thank you, Liberty Linda. Take care of yourself.
You as well. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work.
I'm just Channel 7's Eric Everett.
Back to your phone calls, your reaction, your conversation. Mike in Boise. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, I think you're on the wrong side of growing hemp for the farmers and industrial use in Idaho. I don't think it even relates to having teenagers smoking weed or bringing new laws in for marijuana or medical marijuana. It's two different things. That's like saying you don't want to have poppy because everybody might start using heroin.
Okay. Anything else?
Hemp is great for industrial use. They use it for all kinds of things, fuels, fibers, and the government's been suppressing it for years. I like what you're doing, but I think you're on the wrong side there.
Well, we can agree to disagree. I don't know if you heard the comments of Chief Kingsbury, your thoughts on what he said?
I didn't catch that.
He just said that they're not against hemp, but law enforcement needs to be consulted. They're worried since there are no tests currently in Idaho determining hemp from marijuana. Legalizing hemp will allow people that are bringing in marijuana illegally a free ride. Your thoughts?
That's still not doesn't relate to the use of marijuana. Just because law enforcement can't test for marijuana, maybe they need to get new tests